Hi, I'm Natalie from ATMS and welcome to our Practitioner Spotlight. Today I'm joined by Sulin. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Natalie. Nice to see
Hello.
you.
Thank you for joining us today. Now,
Having
you're,
me.
you're going to share a little bit about what you do and your modality. So why don't we start there? Introduce yourself and what modality do you do?
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Sulin. I'm a naturopath. I trained as a naturopath, and that included, several modalities, nutrition, for example. But my main love and really what I enjoy working with is herbal medicine. So I'm a naturopath that works herbally, plant-based medicines with women's hormonal health, and I treat a whole lot of different conditions from puberty through to menopause.
That's a great overview of your therapy. So you've got a practice and a clinic, obviously, as well.
I do, exactly. So I've had a clinical practice actually from early on because when I studied, I don't know, some things just resonate, don't they? And I had a career before this, but when I studied herbal medicine and naturopathy, it's kind of like I'd found my thing. So I was itching to get into practice. So I started my practice as soon as I graduated and just built that up over time. And then initially, I had a lot of women my age, which is interesting. And we were a bit younger then, and we were having babies. So I worked a lot with, fertility and helping couples fall pregnant. And now we're all going through the throngs of menopause, perimenopause. So my client base is now, women who've got, teenage children, a lot of women my age, late 40s, early 50s, and younger girls coming through as well. Yeah, so I just love having that clinical practice. I also do teach, by the way. I teach with Torrens University. I believe you were there not long ago,
Yes.
visiting the facilities. It's a wonderful institution. I've taught with Nature Care College as well. And I write some sort of just smaller courses that people might just enjoy doing, if they're interested in bringing herbs into the home and making their own medicines at home. I teach courses for that as well.
That's so brilliant. I think it's really important to keep up to date in your type of modality and what you practice. So by teaching or writing courses, you're really then again sharing your love greater, aren't you?
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I like connecting with people because you don't go into a profession like this, if you don't like people. You
So true.
kind of want to help people. So I enjoy that interaction. Actually, I went back, now that you say that, I went back to university about 5 years ago, the University of Tasmania, and I did their evidence-based complementary medicine. And I think this is important to mention because naturopathy is, yes, natural medicine, plant-based, it's medicine of the people. When you look at developing countries, it's the primary form of healthcare. But we've often had this assumption that it's not very scientific or it's not very evidence-based. But when I completed this course, it just gave me this real appreciation for all the research that's coming out now on herbal medicines for everything from night sweat to hot flashes to weight loss in perimenopause, so just everything, stress, sleep. So yeah, I think that it's an industry, it's a fascinating industry that keeps growing. And we are evidence-based and we're very interested in what research tells us about women, women's journeys, women's hormones, and all those things.
Mm, that's so important to keep that evidence side of practice because it is so much research, as you mentioned, out there. And how would you bring that into a consultation, for example? So, what would someone expect from having a consultation with you? And especially, I guess, with that follow up or protocols that a lot of naturopaths do, how do you bring that evidence base into it as well?
Yes. So generally, if you see someone like me, a women's hormone health sort of clinician, you would expect that first consultation to go for about an hour long. And it's primarily an interview because we're trying to discern what's happening beneath the surface. So the symptoms, yes, we know what the symptoms are. We focus on resolving the symptoms, but we always see them as messages from the body, as to what's actually going on underneath, inside. So that hour gives plenty of time to cover all the body systems and work out what's happening. With evidence as it's getting bigger and bigger, it's starting to relate to larger populations. So I can apply, for example, the use of a certain herb for weight loss or leptin problems. For women who might get chronic headaches, I can apply that research to a larger group of women now than, maybe 30 years ago. And I will usually bring that in if I think that there's a particular product that someone needs. The great thing about naturopathy products these days is you've got lots to choose from, so you can identify the one with exactly the herbs that you need. And so we'll do a little bit of that. I often do screening as well. So when people first come in, I will screen them for things like, how's your thyroid health? What's happening with your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone balance? And is the diet causing any issues? So I screen for all those things. It's a little bit like a discovery process. And then as the months roll on, you have a few follow-ups, and those follow-ups keep you on track. As you're taking your medicines, you're moving into a more integrated lifestyle. So it's now eating for health, sleeping for health, more daily practices. And yeah, I think people usually find what in terms of the feedback that I get, they find that their periods come on a lot more easily. They don't have as many symptoms. They have less frequency and severity with those symptoms. For example, women might come in with their first hot flashes, and then they get their treatment, which is an evidence-based treatment, and that tells us what to do right down to the dosage. And then they go through and come back a month later and they've had no hot flashes. So it's just about finding the right sort of mix, for each individual.
Yeah.
So research can help with that.
And it's very, as you said, tailored specifically for that person, using evidence. But then what I love is like getting them to that wellness goal, that lifestyle, having that vitality back is such a huge part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because the symptoms are not existing in isolation, as you know. The symptoms are just like on the periphery, but inside there's some sort of imbalance, some chemical imbalance that's happening.
Oh, thank you so much for deep diving in a bit of what you do and bringing that evidence and all your research and knowledge to us today. That's been so good. Now, before we end up, can you please share your clinic name as well so we can find you out if they want to?
Oh, absolutely. My clinic name is Herbal Well because I am a herbal lover. So it's Herbal, Herbal Well. I'll also mention that with a lot of the research I do, I write it up into podcasts. So I have a podcast called Well Woman. That's Well. And that has, episodes that perhaps a lot of women might enjoy on perimenopause, thyroid, iron deficiency, and various things. And you can find me on the socials as well.
Oh, lovely. I'm going to find your podcast right away. Thank you again for joining us today, Sulin.
Thank you, Natalie. So nice to chat with you.